Have you ever wondered how you can make someone miss you, not just for a few hours, but deeply and profoundly? Imagine being able to step away from a situation and yet your absence speaks volumes. This isn't about playing games or being manipulative, but rather mastering a few key skills that will make your presence unforgettable and your absence impossible to ignore. In this video, we're going to explore how you can make a man feel your absence in ways he never expected by mastering 7 essential skills. These skills are subtle yet powerful, and once you learn them, you'll notice how they transform your relationships. What's truly fascinating is that these aren't your typical relationship tips. These are skills that require a deep understanding of yourself, emotional intelligence, and yes, a bit of mystery. You're going to learn how to cultivate an air of intrigue, how to make him feel your presence even when you're not physically there, and how to create a dynamic that keeps him thinking about you long after you've stepped away. We'll touch on how things like self-care, unpredictability, and setting boundaries can make a huge difference in how you're perceived and missed. These aren't tricks. They're authentic ways to enhance your connection with someone by becoming a more intriguing and independent person. But why should you watch till the end? Because I'll reveal how even small shifts in your behavior can lead to big changes in how someone feels about you. Whether you're in a relationship or just dating, these tips can help create a lasting impact, drawing him in even more. You'll learn how to create a space where your absence isn't just noticed, but deeply felt. Stick with me until the end because I'm also going to share one bonus tip that most people overlook, a technique that can change the way you interact with men forever. If you truly want to master the art of making your absence unforgettable, you'll want to hear this. Make sure you subscribe so you don't miss out on more insightful tips that can enhance your relationships and life. Let's get started. When you start dedicating time to things that are exclusively yours, you begin to shape a life that's filled with passion and purpose. It could be something as simple as picking up a hobby or diving into a personal project. The key here is to make these activities your own. You're not doing them to impress anyone or even to share with others. They're simply things that bring you joy, challenge you, and allow you to grow. This kind of independence doesn't just help you become more fulfilled, it can make you infinitely more interesting to those around you. Now think about how this translates into your relationship with a man. When you engage in activities that don't involve him, something unexpected happens. You become more intriguing. He begins to wonder what you're up to when you're not together. The key is that this isn't about ignoring him or making him feel left out. It's about creating a sense of space that's filled with your own individuality. When a man sees you living a full life, it makes him respect you more. You're no longer someone who needs constant attention or reassurance. Instead, you are someone who has a rich, fulfilling life all on your own. This sense of self-sufficiency isn't just attractive, it's powerful. When you dedicate time to your own interests, you communicate that you are independent and not dependent on anyone for validation or happiness. This is a subtle yet undeniable shift in how he perceives you. Imagine this. You're both spending time together, and there's a slight pause in the conversation. Instead of reaching for your phone or trying to fill the silence, you might quietly step away to work on your painting. Or maybe you've set aside time to read or focus on a personal project. Your ability to calmly engage with your own passions makes you more grounded, more present, and more interesting. It's this independence that enhances the value of your time together. As you continue to engage in activities that are purely yours, you also develop a sense of pride in your own accomplishments. You're no longer just someone he spends time with. You're someone who is actively building something meaningful in your own life. This subtle shift in energy is powerful. It not only makes your time apart from him more meaningful, but it also makes your presence feel more valuable when you do spend time together. Let's dive deeper into the concept of absence. The more you cultivate your own interests, the more a man begins to feel your absence when you're not around. Think about it. When you're constantly available, your presence can almost feel like background noise. It becomes easy to take it for granted. But when you step back and invest in things that don't revolve around him, you shift the dynamic. He starts to realize that your time is valuable. He begins to notice when you're not there because you've created space for your own individuality to flourish. You're not doing this for him, though. You're doing it for yourself. You're living your life in a way that doesn't require him to be the center of your world. And in doing so, you're actually making yourself more attractive to him. There's an old saying that absence makes the heart grow fonder. Well, in this case, it's not just absence. It's the absence of someone who is actively engaging with their own life and passions. And that absence is felt deeply. Being independent doesn't mean being distant or cold. On the contrary, it shows emotional maturity. It's not about withdrawing or pushing him away. Instead, it's about creating space for both of you to grow individually. When you nurture your own interests, you bring a sense of fulfillment to the relationship that can't be found through dependence or neediness. It allows both of you to feel more connected because you're both on your own individual journeys. Take, for instance, a woman who has a hobby or passion she's deeply invested in. She might spend her evenings learning something new, working on a project, or simply relaxing with a book. While these activities are important to her, they don't exclude him. When they do spend time together, it becomes something more meaningful. He's not just her entire world. He's part of a world that she's built for herself. This creates a balance that most men find irresistible. It's the sense of mystery that grows from not knowing everything about her, not always being there to fill her time, and not being the only source of her joy. This sense of independence makes the time you do spend together even more special. When you're with him, you're present in a way that feels intentional. You're not constantly thinking about what you need to do next or how you should be spending your time. Instead, you're engaged in the moment because you've already filled your life with things that bring you satisfaction and joy. Your life isn't dependent on his presence to feel complete. When he sees this, it becomes clear that your time together is a gift, not something that's simply filling up the empty spaces in your life. As you cultivate your own interests and passions, you may find that you start to naturally pull away from the habit of seeking constant attention or approval from him. Instead of waiting for him to validate your worth or fill the gaps in your life, you become more self-reliant. And this isn't a bad thing. It doesn't mean you don't care about him or value the relationship. It just means you know how to fill your own cup first. This is an incredibly attractive trait, one that makes men value your presence even more when you are around. But what happens when you take a step back and give him space? It's not about playing games, it's about showing him that you're not going to wait around for attention or validation. It's a healthy way of saying, I'm content on my own, and I have a life that doesn't depend on you. And when he senses that, he starts to realize how much more he values you. It's not just about what you bring to the table when you're together. It's about the fact that you have your own life, filled with things that matter to you. This independent energy makes your time together feel more precious. It's the idea of creating a balance between being with him and having a life of your own. You're not just his partner. You're someone who brings a unique energy to the table. When you engage in activities that you truly love, you become a more dynamic and engaging person. And when you're not around, he feels the weight of that absence. There's something incredibly magnetic about a person who is content and fulfilled on their own. The more you invest in your own passions, the more you add depth to your personality. And when he sees that depth, he begins to feel a stronger desire to be a part of your world. It's this pull, this magnetic force that makes your absence so noticeable. Because when you're fully engaged in your own life, your presence becomes something that's truly valued. And your absence, well, it becomes impossible to ignore. When you prioritize your own interests and passions, you create an environment where your presence feels like a gift. And the more you step into that independent space, the more you teach him that you are someone who has something special to offer, not just in the relationship, but in your own world as well. That's when he starts to feel the depth of your absence, not just as a physical absence, but as the loss of someone who is vibrant, fulfilled, and living a life that matters. And that, my friend, is how you make your absence truly unforgettable. In any relationship, communication is key. However, there's a delicate balance that often gets overlooked. The balance between staying connected and allowing space for natural pauses. Constant texting or calling can create a sense of dependence where both parties feel the need to stay glued to their phones, checking for messages and waiting for responses. While it's natural to want to stay in touch with someone you care about, sometimes less is more. By maintaining a balanced communication pattern, you allow room for the relationship to grow organically. When you don't bombard someone with constant texts or calls, you create a space that lets them think about you in their own time. This isn't about playing games or being deliberately distant. It's about respecting both your own space and his. By not being immediately available every time he reaches out, you naturally create a sense of anticipation. He'll start wondering what you're doing, why you haven't texted back, or when he'll get to hear from you again. These pauses, no matter how brief, give him time to miss you, to feel the weight of your absence, and to start longing for your presence. The key here is not to disappear entirely, but to break the cycle of constant communication. If every text or call is met with an immediate response, it can make the interaction feel almost transactional. There's little room for depth or meaning when everything is happening in real time, with no space for reflection. When you leave gaps in the conversation, however, you allow the other person to reflect on the exchange, to feel the excitement of awaiting a reply, and to invest more emotionally in the conversation. Think about the most exciting moments of a relationship. It's often when there's a buildup to something, waiting for the phone call, eagerly anticipating the next message. If everything happens instantly, the sense of excitement fades away. By not being overly available, you create a natural flow to the communication. It's not about playing hard to get. It's about building a connection that has room to breathe and develop. This approach isn't about deliberately pulling away or creating a barrier. Instead, it's about introducing a healthy rhythm into the relationship where you and he can exist independently for a moment and then come back together with even more energy. When you communicate in this balanced way, each interaction feels more meaningful. Every message, every call feels more significant because there's space in between them. This space allows you to gather your thoughts, reflect on what was said, and approach the next conversation with intention and purpose. And here's the thing. When you don't respond immediately, you also communicate something important. You show him that your world doesn't revolve around him. You have your own life, filled with activities, passions, and responsibilities. This doesn't mean you don't care. On the contrary, it shows that you value yourself enough to prioritize your own time. It also communicates that you are not at his beck and call. In doing so, you increase your value in his eyes. He starts to see that you are someone who doesn't need constant validation or attention to feel good about yourself. The pauses in communication allow both of you to build anticipation. He starts to look forward to your messages, your calls, and your time together. This creates a sense of mystery, a quality that keeps things exciting and fresh. When everything is readily available, there's no time for imagination or excitement. But when you maintain that balance, when you give him space to think and wonder about you, you begin to create a sense of mystery that makes your presence even more valuable. Maintaining a balanced communication pattern also allows you to set the tone of the relationship. By not overwhelming him with constant messages, you show that you're in control of your emotions and your time. This control is incredibly attractive because it shows that you're not needy or clingy. It creates an environment where both of you can come together with excitement and energy instead of a place where the relationship feels like a constant need for reassurance. You've established that you can exist separately and still come back together with more to offer each other. Now, when you master this communication balance, it naturally leads to the next step, becoming a bit more mysterious. You may wonder how these two concepts are connected, but they go hand in hand. When you're constantly in touch with someone, they start to know everything about you. There's no room for curiosity, no space to wonder what you're up to or what you're thinking. However, when you create that space by balancing the communication, you also open the door to becoming more mysterious. Being mysterious doesn't mean being deceitful or playing games. It's about keeping a part of yourself that's not immediately revealed. It's about not giving away everything at once. Mystery comes from the ability to withhold information, to keep certain thoughts, experiences, and aspects of your personality just out of reach. It's the idea that there's always something more to discover. And that's incredibly captivating. When a man senses there's more to you than meets the eye, it draws him in deeper. So, how does this relate to communication? Simple. When you don't reveal everything about yourself in every conversation, you create a sense of intrigue. Maybe you hold back just a little, or you don't immediately reveal all the details of your day. You don't share every thought or emotion as it happens. Instead, you let him experience pieces of you over time, slowly unveiling more as the relationship develops. This doesn't mean being distant or cold. It means allowing him to truly get to know you in a deeper, more meaningful way. Being mysterious keeps things fresh and exciting. Every conversation becomes an opportunity to learn something new about you. There's always a sense of anticipation about what you might say next or what you might reveal when the time is right. This sense of mystery creates a tension that can make your absence feel even more profound. When he knows that there's always something more to uncover, it increases the longing to be around you more, to learn more about you, and to be part of your world. And the best part? This doesn't require any effort. It's not about pretending to be someone you're not or holding on to secrets for the sake of drama. It's simply about embracing the natural rhythm of communication and allowing things to unfold. The more you maintain that sense of mystery, the more intrigued he will become. It keeps the relationship exciting and prevents it from feeling stagnant or predictable. What happens when you're not constantly communicating? It creates a healthy tension where both of you are eager for the next interaction. You don't become someone who is always available, always texting, always calling. Instead, you become someone who has a life outside of the relationship, someone who is self-assured, independent, and intriguing. And when he feels this, he begins to appreciate your presence even more. Your absence starts to feel heavier because he knows that you're not someone who is easily forgotten. You've created space for him to think about you, to miss you, and to long for the next time you'll connect. Mastering a balanced communication pattern isn't just about sending fewer texts or making fewer calls. It's about creating an environment where communication feels meaningful. Every interaction has depth because it's not rushed or forced. You allow time for reflection, for curiosity, and for anticipation. And as you create space for those pauses, you naturally open the door to mystery. You don't reveal everything all at once, and that makes every moment of interaction feel more precious and exciting. In the end, the combination of balancing your communication and maintaining a sense of mystery is what makes your absence truly powerful. When you're not constantly available, when there's always a bit of mystery surrounding you, your presence becomes more impactful. Your absence becomes something he notices, something he can't ignore. You've become someone who is impossible to forget because you've mastered the art of being intriguing, independent, and captivating, whether you're near or far. When it comes to relationships, there's a powerful force in mystery. The human mind is naturally curious, always searching for things that are just out of reach, that aren't immediately obvious. This is where the art of being mysterious comes into play. You don't have to tell someone everything about yourself all at once. In fact, sharing selective information is one of the most alluring things you can do. When you keep certain aspects of your life and personality private, you create an aura of intrigue that makes him want to know more. You don't need to be secretive or deceptive to be mysterious. It's about not revealing every detail of your life in one conversation. It's about keeping certain things to yourself, creating a space where he feels like he has to earn the right to discover more about you. This can be as simple as not oversharing your day-to-day experiences or not offering up every detail about your thoughts and emotions. When you hold back just a little bit, you pique his curiosity. The more selective you are with the information you reveal, the more he'll want to know about you. This kind of mystery keeps things fresh, exciting, and full of potential. The desire to know more about someone is one of the strongest feelings that can arise in a relationship. When you give little glimpses into your life, you provide just enough to spark his interest without making everything fully accessible. It's like opening the door just a crack, allowing him to catch a glimpse of the world you live in. But he doesn't get to walk through the door right away. He has to wait, and that creates a sense of anticipation. He'll find himself wondering about you even when you're not around, trying to piece together the parts of you that you've left unexplored. This element of mystery naturally leads to a desire to know you on a deeper level. Instead of feeling like he knows everything about you from the start, he's left with questions. What do you think about certain topics? What's your idea of a perfect day? What are your deepest desires? All of these are questions that will start to run through his mind. And as he asks himself these questions, he begins to long for the answers. This is how mystery works. It fuels the desire to discover, to understand, and to connect more deeply. The more you withhold, the more he starts to feel like he's missing something. It's not about playing games. It's about creating a space where he feels a genuine, deep curiosity about you. In any relationship, it's easy for things to become too comfortable, too predictable. When everything is known, the excitement starts to fade. But when there's always something more to learn, when you're not laying all your cards on the table immediately, the excitement never wanes. He'll always feel like there's more to uncover. And that's where the power lies. The mystery isn't just about withholding facts. It's also about your actions and how you present yourself. Sometimes it's in the little things you do, the way you look at him when you don't say a word, the way you smile without revealing all your thoughts. These nonverbal cues add to the air of mystery and make him wonder what's going on beneath the surface. Your subtlety can be a form of communication that speaks volumes without you having to utter a single word. When you present yourself this way, you become someone who is constantly intriguing. A mysterious person is never completely predictable. One of the key aspects of mystery is the unpredictability of your behavior. When you're mysterious, your actions leave room for interpretation. You don't always act in ways that are expected. This creates an environment where he's never quite sure what's coming next, and that keeps him on his toes. It keeps him thinking about you even when you're not around. The unpredictability of your actions adds to the tension of the relationship, creating a sense of excitement. Every time you meet, it feels like a new adventure because there's always an element of surprise. Another powerful aspect of being mysterious is how it influences your interactions. When you're mysterious, every conversation feels more meaningful. Instead of just talking about your day or your plans, you offer just enough to spark a conversation, but not enough to exhaust it. You allow him to ask questions, to dig deeper, which naturally increases his investment in getting to know you. The more he has to work to uncover parts of you, the more he will appreciate those rare moments when you reveal something personal. These moments become special because they're not given away easily. When you share something with him, it feels more significant because it's not just a casual exchange. It's a piece of you that he's earned. You don't have to be an enigma to maintain mystery. It's about showing just enough to keep the connection alive, but not so much that the relationship feels too open too soon. It's about making him work a little bit for your attention, your time, and your thoughts. This creates a healthy tension where he's drawn to you, wanting to know more. It's in this space that he starts to miss you, to feel the absence of your presence more deeply. He starts to realize that the more time he spends with you, the more there is to discover, and that makes every moment with you more valuable. Mystery also works because it makes your absence more pronounced. When you're always available, there's no space for him to truly miss you. But when you create mystery, you create absence by design. You allow him to wonder about you, to think about you when you're not there. He'll start to feel your absence on a deeper level because he knows that there's so much about you that he hasn't yet uncovered. The more mysterious you are, the more he realizes there's something special about you that he can't quite grasp yet, and that makes your absence something he notices. He starts to miss not just your presence, but the mystery that surrounds you, the puzzle that he's eager to solve. This doesn't mean that you should never open up. The mystery is about timing and balance. There will be moments when you can be vulnerable and let down your guard, but it's important to do so in a way that feels earned. By keeping some parts of yourself private, you're allowing the relationship to grow in a natural way. You don't want to reveal everything right away because once it's all out in the open, the excitement fades. Instead, you want to keep the mystery alive, creating space for the relationship to deepen over time. The beauty of being mysterious is that it makes your presence more valuable. When you withhold certain things, it adds weight to what you do share. Every word, every action feels more significant because it's not a constant stream of information. Instead, it's a slow reveal that keeps him engaged and wanting more. He starts to look forward to those moments when you do open up because they're rare and precious. And when you create this sense of mystery, you also create a sense of longing, a desire to know more and to spend more time with you. Being mysterious is about knowing how to share selectively. It's about leaving him with questions, making him curious about you in ways he hasn't experienced with anyone else. This sense of curiosity fuels his desire to know you on a deeper level, to explore the parts of you that are still hidden. And when you cultivate that mystery, you cultivate the feeling that when you're not around, something is missing. That's when he starts to truly miss you, not just because you're gone, but because there's so much more to you that he hasn't yet discovered. Prioritizing self-care is one of the most important steps you can take to create a lasting impact on those around you, especially in relationships. When you focus on your physical and emotional well-being, you not only become the best version of yourself, but you also increase the value of your presence. But what's even more powerful is how this affects your absence. By nurturing yourself, you send a clear message that you value your own needs, and in turn, others begin to appreciate and respect your presence more deeply. Self-care is often seen as something that's simply about pampering yourself with a spa day or taking a break from the hustle and bustle of life. While those things are valuable, true self-care goes much deeper than that. It involves taking a holistic approach to your mind, body, and spirit. This means making intentional choices to feed your body with nutritious food, engage in regular exercise, and take time to rest and recover. It also involves investing in your emotional health, setting boundaries, nurturing your mental well-being, and making time for activities that bring you joy and fulfillment. When you prioritize self-care, it shows. You become a person who radiates confidence, peace, and happiness. People naturally gravitate toward you because your energy is positive and uplifting. When you take care of yourself, you give off a sense of balance and control, and this magnetic presence makes you unforgettable. But perhaps more importantly, when you practice self care, you teach others to do the same. You set an example for those around you, showing them that you deserve respect and care. This self respect is something that cannot be overlooked, and it makes your absence feel more powerful because it becomes clear that you are someone who is not easily replaced. Physically, self care doesn't just mean looking good on the outside, it's about feeling good too. When you take the time to engage in activities that promote health and vitality, whether that's through regular exercise, eating nourishing foods, or getting enough sleep, you begin to glow with a natural energy that others can't help but notice. This energy, this vitality becomes a part of who you are. And when you're not around, it's noticeable. People begin to miss that radiant energy you bring to every room you walk into. Your absence leaves a void, and it's not just because you're physically gone, it's because the energy you give off has temporarily disappeared. But emotional self-care is just as important. It's easy to get caught up in the demands of life and let stress and anxiety take a toll on your mental health. But when you prioritize your emotional well-being, you create a sense of emotional stability that others can't help but notice. By taking the time to process your feelings, practice mindfulness, and engage in activities that help you feel grounded, you become emotionally resilient. This resilience creates a sense of inner peace that is incredibly attractive. And when you're at peace with yourself, it's easier to be at peace with others. This emotional stability also plays a role in how your absence is felt. People are drawn to that calm energy, and when it's no longer there, they begin to notice just how much it meant to them. Your self-care routine doesn't just benefit you, it benefits your relationships. When you make your well-being a priority, you become someone who is full, not empty. You bring energy and vitality into your relationships instead of draining it. You become a source of strength and positivity for those around you. And when you're not present, that positive energy is missed. It's like a light that shines brightly in a room. It makes everything feel brighter and warmer, but when that light is gone, everything feels a little dimmer. The absence is felt more deeply because people have grown accustomed to the warmth and comfort that you provide. One of the most important aspects of self-care is the ability to set boundaries. When you prioritize your own needs, you make it clear that you will not sacrifice your well-being for anyone or anything. This teaches others to respect your space and your time. It also shows them that you are not someone who can be easily taken for granted. When you have strong boundaries, people start to see you as someone who values themselves. And when you're not around, that absence becomes more significant because people realize just how much they have come to rely on your presence and the boundaries you've set. When you're in a state of self-care, you also become more attuned to your own needs and desires. This self-awareness allows you to make better choices in your life and relationships. You're no longer just reacting to the world around you. You're actively choosing what serves your highest good. This sense of purpose and intentionality makes you more attractive to others because people are naturally drawn to those who are confident and self-assured. And when you step away, even temporarily, from that space of clarity and purpose, it's felt deeply. Your absence creates a sense of longing because people can sense the purposeful energy you bring with you. Another crucial aspect of self-care is the ability to nurture your passions. When you have hobbies and interests that are solely yours, you become someone who is independent and fulfilled. This independence makes you more intriguing because you're not just relying on someone else to complete you or fill your time. You are a whole person on your own, and this is incredibly magnetic. People are drawn to those who are secure in their own identity and who have a sense of fulfillment that doesn't come from anyone else. And when you're not around, it's clear that your passions are an integral part of who you are. Your absence leaves a gap, not only in the relationship, but in the energy that you bring to everything you do. As you continue to prioritize self-care, it becomes clear that you're not just doing it for yourself, you're doing it for everyone who is fortunate enough to be in your life. By focusing on your own well-being, you become someone who can offer love, support, and positivity to others. You create an environment where people feel safe and valued, and that kind of presence is deeply missed when it's gone. The more you invest in yourself, the more you show up for the people around you in a way that's meaningful and impactful. And when you step away, even for a moment, people will notice the absence of the strength and energy you bring with you. When you take the time to care for your physical, emotional, and mental health, you show the world that you are someone worth cherishing. This self-love and self-respect are contagious, and they make your absence more impactful. People will begin to appreciate you in ways they didn't before because they can see the value you place on yourself. And when you're not around, they will feel the loss of that self-assured energy, that radiant presence, and the strength that you bring into their lives. Creating memorable experiences together is one of the most powerful ways to build a lasting connection in any relationship. It's not just about the moments you share, but how those moments make you feel and the lasting impact they have on the heart and mind. When you engage in unique, enjoyable activities that leave lasting impressions, you create a bond that becomes almost irreplaceable. These experiences, which might seem small at the time, can leave a deep imprint on someone's memory and, over time, make your absence feel more poignant. What makes shared experiences so powerful is the way they connect you to someone on a deeper level. Whether it's exploring new places, trying new things, or simply sharing a quiet moment together, these experiences help create a sense of closeness and intimacy that words alone can't capture. The emotional connection that forms from these moments stays with you long after the experience ends. And when you're no longer around, those memories become a source of longing, making your absence felt in a more profound way. Imagine taking a spontaneous trip to a place neither of you have visited before, exploring its beauty and hidden gems. The thrill of the unknown, combined with the joy of discovery, makes these moments unforgettable. Every laugh, every conversation, and every shared experience becomes a part of your story together. These types of experiences create emotional touchstones that will remain with you long after the trip is over. When you're not there, the memories of that trip come flooding back, and it's not just the places you saw or the things you did, it's the way those moments made you feel. This emotional connection amplifies the absence because it ties the memory to a specific person. You were there and now you're not, and that absence becomes deeply felt. The impact of creating memorable experiences isn't just about the big, grand adventures. It's also about the smaller, quieter moments that feel equally significant. A simple night in, cooking a meal together, or watching a favorite movie on a rainy evening can leave a lasting impression. The essence of these experiences lies in the bond that forms during them. It's not about the activity itself, but the emotions and connections that come with it. Over time, these moments accumulate and create a tapestry of memories that form the foundation of your relationship. When you're not there to share those moments, the absence of that shared history becomes more apparent. You're not just missing from a single event, you're missing from the ongoing story that the two of you were creating together. When you engage in experiences that are unique and meaningful, you also make the relationship feel special. These aren't the kind of moments you can replicate with just anyone. They are unique to the bond you share. Whether it's a quirky tradition the two of you have, a special place you both enjoy visiting, or a particular way you celebrate a shared hobby, these experiences have the power to make your connection feel one of a kind. And when you're no longer part of the equation, those singular moments take on even more meaning. The absence of those personalized experiences can make the relationship feel incomplete, as if something essential is missing. Shared experiences also help deepen the emotional understanding between two people. They offer a chance to witness each other in new environments and contexts. outside of the usual day-to-day routines. Seeing someone in an unfamiliar situation, handling a challenge, or experiencing joy allows you to connect with them on a new level. These deeper moments of understanding build a stronger connection, one that goes beyond surface-level interactions. And when you're not there to share those experiences, the void created by your absence becomes more pronounced. People begin to miss not just your presence, but the emotional depth that comes from sharing those transformative moments together. The beauty of memorable experiences is that they often involve some level of adventure or spontaneity. These kinds of experiences where you step outside your comfort zone and try something new are not only exciting, but they also create a sense of shared excitement and energy. The thrill of discovery, the sense of accomplishment from achieving something new together, and the shared joy of experiencing life in a new way all contribute to making the memory more significant. And when you're not around to create new adventures, the excitement you brought with you is missed. The absence of that spark makes it clear just how much those shared experiences meant. It's also important to note that creating memorable experiences is not about trying to impress someone with extravagant gestures. The most meaningful memories often come from simple, thoughtful actions that show you care. A surprise picnic in a local park, a handwritten note left in a place they'll find, or a spontaneous day out that caters to their interests. These are the kinds of moments that stand out because they come from the heart. The effort and thoughtfulness behind these gestures make them memorable. And when you're not there to add that personal touch, people begin to notice. They miss the little things, the surprises, the unexpected joy, and the thoughtful gestures that made them feel special. As time passes, the memories you create with someone begin to define the relationship. These shared moments become the foundation of your connection. When you're not around to continue building on that foundation, the relationship begins to feel incomplete. The absence of new memories, combined with the nostalgia of those you've shared, creates a feeling of longing. It's as if the story you were writing together is missing pages, and people begin to feel the weight of that unfinished narrative. The memories you created together are powerful enough to make your absence feel tangible because they are tied to who you were as a unit, two people experiencing life together. Another significant aspect of creating memorable experiences is that they allow for vulnerability. When you engage in experiences that require openness, whether it's sharing a personal story, tackling a challenge, or simply being emotionally present with one another, you create a deeper connection. Vulnerability in these moments strengthens the bond between two people, as it fosters trust and understanding. And when you're no longer around to offer that sense of emotional availability, your absence is felt on a deeper, more emotional level. People begin to miss not just the experiences, but the trust and intimacy that came from sharing them. Creating memories with someone also means creating a shared history. The experiences you share together form a timeline of your relationship, a history that you can look back on and reflect upon. This shared history becomes a touchstone for your connection, a reminder of the journey you've taken together. And when you're not there, that history remains, but the absence of future shared moments makes it feel incomplete. People often turn to memories for comfort when someone is missing, but those memories only go so far. They remind you of what once was, and in that sense, they make the absence feel all the more real. The emotional impact of creating memorable experiences is that they provide something lasting, something tangible that can't easily be erased. These moments become part of someone's internal landscape. They shape how they view the relationship and the person they shared those moments with. And when you're no longer a part of the picture, those memories create an emotional void. The feeling of missing someone is amplified when there are shared experiences to reflect upon. Those experiences become a marker of what's missing, intensifying the absence. Setting healthy boundaries is an essential aspect of any relationship. It's not about pushing someone away or creating emotional distance, but rather about establishing the space necessary for both individuals to thrive as separate people. Healthy boundaries create a sense of mutual respect, allowing each person to maintain their individuality while still being part of a shared connection. In relationships, boundaries can sometimes be seen as a sign of emotional strength or self-preservation, but they also have a profound impact on the dynamics of how two people relate to each other. When these boundaries are respected, they set the foundation for a deeper emotional connection, one that will make the absence of the other person feel even more significant. The foundation of setting boundaries in a relationship begins with the understanding that you are both individuals with unique needs, desires, and priorities. Establishing and maintaining these boundaries ensures that both parties feel safe, valued, and respected. Without boundaries, there can be a sense of suffocation or dependence that diminishes the quality of the connection. The space created by healthy boundaries allows each person to explore their own interests, focus on personal growth, and maintain their sense of self. When someone feels that their personal boundaries are respected, they are more likely to develop a greater sense of trust and appreciation for the relationship. At first glance, boundaries might seem like a way to create distance in a relationship, but the opposite is often true. When both individuals respect each other's space and needs, it can actually lead to a deeper sense of connection. By having clear boundaries, each person is able to preserve their own emotional health and create the space necessary to return to the relationship with fresh energy. A relationship built on mutual respect for boundaries becomes one where both individuals can feel their own worth and value. This, in turn, fosters a sense of longing when you're apart. When boundaries are not respected, on the other hand, it can cause frustration and resentment, leading to emotional disconnection. The absence of a person who respects those boundaries is deeply felt, as the emotional space that was created by those boundaries becomes more apparent. Healthy boundaries also involve having time for personal reflection and self-care. This means creating the space to reflect on your own emotions, experiences, and needs without feeling pressured to constantly share them with the other person. It's important to take time for yourself in a relationship to process your thoughts and feelings. When you engage in self-reflection, you create a sense of clarity and self-awareness that is crucial to maintaining a healthy relationship. Being able to communicate your boundaries to the other person shows that you value your own well-being and are willing to create a relationship that nurtures both of your needs. When this kind of respect for personal space is established, the relationship becomes a partnership based on understanding and consideration. This makes it easier to endure times apart, as each person is able to focus on their own personal growth while knowing that their boundaries are respected. By allowing the necessary space for each individual to flourish, healthy boundaries also encourage a sense of independence. When you both have the freedom to pursue your own passions, hobbies, and interests without feeling guilty or overwhelmed, you build a sense of individual strength that can add to the overall strength of the relationship. This independence is not a sign of detachment, but rather a way to preserve your own sense of self, which can lead to a deeper emotional connection. The absence of a person who maintains this independence becomes noticeable because the relationship no longer feels dependent or stifling. The person's absence is felt not as a loss of someone who is constantly available, but as the absence of a unique, independent individual who contributes to the relationship in their own way. It's important to note that setting boundaries isn't about shutting people out or being overly rigid. Boundaries are a way to ensure that you and your partner are both able to enjoy the space to grow as individuals. They help prevent feelings of being overwhelmed or suffocated, which can create tension and strain in the relationship. When boundaries are respected, there is a greater sense of peace and emotional stability, which enhances the overall quality of the connection. The emotional security created by having clear boundaries can make you more willing to be vulnerable, as you know that your space and needs will be honored. This vulnerability, when nurtured, creates a deeper emotional bond, one that makes your absence feel more profound when you are apart. A relationship without boundaries can feel emotionally draining and confusing. Without boundaries, it's easy for both individuals to lose track of their own needs and desires, leading to feelings of dissatisfaction and frustration. This kind of emotional chaos can ultimately erode the connection, making it harder to appreciate and value the relationship when you're together. On the other hand, healthy boundaries give each person the room to breathe, think, and feel independently. This space allows for deeper emotional connection when you do come together, as the relationship is not based on constant neediness or emotional dependence. When you're not there, the absence of the emotional space created by these boundaries becomes clear, and it's felt on a much deeper level. Another significant aspect of healthy boundaries is learning how to communicate them effectively. Setting boundaries is not always easy, especially in close relationships, as it requires open communication and honesty. However, when you communicate your boundaries with clarity and respect, you show that you value both yourself and the other person. It's important to express your boundaries in a way that is not dismissive or defensive, but rather as a way to foster a healthy relationship. This kind of communication strengthens trust and respect in the relationship, making it easier for both individuals to navigate times apart. When you respect each other's boundaries, the relationship becomes one of mutual understanding, and when one person is absent, it's not due to resentment or disconnection, but because there is a natural space created by the healthy dynamic you've built together. The impact of maintaining boundaries also extends to emotional regulation. When you are able to set clear emotional boundaries, you prevent yourself from becoming overwhelmed by the emotional needs of the other person. This emotional self-regulation helps maintain balance in the relationship, allowing each individual to stay grounded and calm during moments of tension or difficulty. By regulating your emotions and respecting the emotional boundaries of others, you create an environment where each person feels safe and supported. This emotional equilibrium makes your absence more impactful because it fosters a sense of stability and trust that becomes more apparent when you are not around. In a relationship where healthy boundaries are respected, each person feels more confident in expressing their feelings, desires, and frustrations without fear of judgment or backlash. This open communication creates a deeper emotional connection, as both individuals feel heard and understood. The absence of someone who has created this open, respectful space is keenly felt, because it's not just about missing their physical presence. It's about missing the emotional security and openness that they bring to the relationship. When you have set healthy boundaries, the absence isn't just about the lack of someone's presence. It's about the absence of the safe, emotionally balanced space they provided. Ultimately, the absence of someone who maintains healthy boundaries is more profound because it leaves a gap, not only in the physical sense, but in the emotional landscape as well. The respect for personal space, emotional balance, and self-care creates a relationship that is not based on constant neediness or emotional exhaustion, but on mutual respect and understanding. This makes the times apart more significant as the relationship becomes one of deep emotional connection and mutual appreciation. Being unpredictable in a relationship can add a layer of excitement and intrigue that keeps things fresh and engaging. When you're consistently predictable, everything can begin to feel routine, and that's when the magic of connection starts to fade. Predictability in relationships can lead to complacency, making interactions feel like a checklist of things that have to happen. In contrast, a little unpredictability keeps both parties on their toes, creating a sense of curiosity and anticipation. By surprising him with unexpected actions or plans, you can create an element of excitement that makes him look forward to your presence even more. One of the most powerful ways to be unpredictable is by occasionally breaking the usual pattern of communication. Instead of always texting at the same time or sending the same types of messages, try something spontaneous. Perhaps send a playful message in the middle of the day, or reach out at an unexpected hour to ask how his day is going. These little surprises catch him off guard and add an element of thrill. The unpredictability in your actions can evoke emotions and responses that routine communication simply cannot. When you keep him guessing, it adds an edge to your connection that makes your presence feel more dynamic. Surprising him with spontaneous plans is another way to introduce unpredictability into the relationship. Plan a surprise date, an unexpected outing, or even just a change in your usual routine. Instead of always sticking to what's familiar, introducing new and exciting experiences can keep the energy in the relationship lively. These unexpected moments create lasting memories that will linger even when you're not around. The element of surprise not only breaks the monotony of everyday life, but also reminds him of the fun and excitement that comes from being with you. When you make an effort to introduce something unexpected into the relationship, it serves as a reminder that you're not a static presence. You are constantly evolving, just like the relationship itself. Being unpredictable doesn't always have to be about big gestures. It can be something as simple as changing up your style or appearance once in a while. People naturally appreciate novelty, and when they are faced with something new, it catches their attention and creates intrigue. When you switch things up, even in small ways, it keeps the spark alive. This unpredictability makes your absence more noticeable because it's not just about your physical presence. It's about the dynamic energy you bring to the relationship. If you're consistently unpredictable, it creates a sense of anticipation that's felt when you're not around. The absence is deeply felt, not just because you're not there physically, but because the dynamic energy you contribute to the relationship is missing. Sometimes, unpredictability can also come in the form of emotional reactions. If you're always steady and predictable in your emotional responses, it can begin to feel like you're not fully engaged or invested. By occasionally surprising him with a different side of yourself, whether it's a burst of excitement, a deep and meaningful conversation, or a sudden act of kindness, you remind him of your depth and complexity. These emotional surprises can trigger a stronger connection, making him more attuned to your presence. And when you're not there, the absence of that emotional unpredictability can make him realize just how much he values the dynamic emotional energy you bring to the relationship. Unpredictability in the way you communicate also helps prevent feelings of monotony. Conversations that follow the same script every day can feel stale, but if you introduce new topics, ask unexpected questions, or share interesting thoughts, it can keep the conversations fresh and engaging. When you're unpredictable in your communication, it keeps the relationship from feeling like a routine. This creates a sense of anticipation, where he looks forward to hearing from you and engaging in new and exciting conversations. This sense of excitement carries over into the times when you're not around, making your absence more noticeable because the dynamic flow of communication is temporarily halted. The impact of unpredictability is significant because it prevents the relationship from becoming stagnant. Relationships thrive on excitement and new experiences, and unpredictability injects that energy. When you're consistently keeping things unpredictable, it keeps him interested and engaged. It creates an emotional investment that goes beyond routine interactions, making him feel that your presence is something special. When you're absent, that unpredictability becomes even more apparent. It's not just the physical absence that he feels, it's the loss of the fun, surprising, and spontaneous energy you bring to the relationship. Being unpredictable is also a way to keep the mystery alive. When you're too predictable, you can become an open book, and there's no longer that sense of intrigue or mystery. But by introducing the occasional surprise or change, you maintain that sense of wonder. Mystery is an essential part of attraction, and unpredictability directly feeds into that mystery. If he doesn't know exactly what to expect from you, it creates a sense of curiosity and longing. This mystery can intensify when you're absent, as he begins to miss the excitement of the unknown that you bring to the table. Additionally, unpredictability can add a layer of emotional depth to the relationship. When things become too predictable, emotions can begin to feel shallow or surface level. But when you occasionally surprise him with unexpected gestures or actions, you evoke a deeper emotional response. This keeps the emotional connection strong and meaningful. It reminds him that your relationship is not based on routine, but on real feelings and experiences. When you're absent, the emotional space you've created with those unpredictable moments becomes even more pronounced. Your absence doesn't just feel like a lack of physical presence, it feels like a gap in the emotional dynamic that you've created through your unpredictable actions. In relationships, people naturally crave variety and excitement. Being unpredictable is a way to keep the relationship dynamic and interesting. It's about providing him with new experiences, emotions, and surprises that make your time together feel valuable. And when you're not there, those moments of unpredictability are missed. The absence becomes noticeable because the excitement and fresh energy you bring are no longer present. In this way, being unpredictable is not just about keeping the relationship exciting. It's about making sure that when you're absent, you're missed in a way that goes beyond the typical sense of longing. The unpredictability you create in your actions and presence leaves a lasting impact that makes your absence feel more significant and appreciated. In this video, we've explored 7 powerful skills that can make your absence deeply felt in any relationship. From cultivating your own interests to being unpredictable, each of these strategies helps create a dynamic presence that leaves a lasting impression. By mastering these skills, you can make your interactions more meaningful and ensure that when you're not around, your absence is noticed in a way that strengthens the bond between you and your partner. Remember, the key is not to use these skills manipulatively, but to implement them with intention and authenticity. When you invest in your own growth and allow space for mystery and excitement in your relationships, it naturally enhances the connection and makes your presence even more valuable. If you found this video helpful, be sure to like it and leave a comment sharing your thoughts. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more relationship insights and tips. Thank you for watching, and we look forward to seeing you in the next video.